We're going to take a look at the Electoral College, specifically at this movement to subvert Trump's election. I think a lot of these electors, when they signed up for this, I think they thought they were going to go to a party where they could wear their Uncle Sam costume. And now some of them have been caught up in political intrigue and illusions of grandeur, imagining that they are Mr. Smith going to Washington. And I'm talking about you specifically, Chris Supran. I asked you for an interview days ago on Twitter. I also contacted your media representative at Media Megaphone Strategies. What a joke. You don't have a megaphone. You've got a strategy of hit and run in the press, and now you're hiding because you don't want to talk to somebody that would question your fundamental assumptions about the Electoral College and your motivations, and also the so-called Hamilton elections. We're going to take a look at how these electors are selected. We're going to look at why this is a criminal conspiracy, and some of these people could wind up going to jail. We're going to look at what the original Federalist papers actually say, and we're going to look at what we really should do to change this, to keep this kind of thing from happening again. Understand the people that are behind this are simply leftist progressives who are now appealing to the Federalist papers and Alexander Hamilton because why? It suits their agenda. These are people who have always hated the written Constitution, who have always thumbed their noses at looking at the original documents to try to find out original intent. And we're going to look at the original text that they're trying to appeal to. But first, this came out about a week and a day ago. Christopher Supran, who is a New Yorker who moved to Texas, and now he believes that he knows better than the 4.7 million Texans who voted for Donald Trump, and he's going to overrule their votes. And we're going to ask who gave him this authority? How did he become an elector? He wrote in the New York Times, "Why I will not cast my electoral vote for Donald Trump." And listen to some of the horrible things that he thinks that Mr. Trump has done. Mr. Trump, he said, has gone out of his way to attack the cast of Saturday Night Live for bias. He did that on Twitter, of all things. This, he says, is unacceptable. The U.S. was set up as a republic, and Alexander Hamilton provided a blueprint for the state's votes. Okay, so amongst the other crimes, he has attacked the Saturday Night Live cast for their attacks of him. You know what? I don't really care whether he likes Donald Trump or not. The fundamental issue is that he doesn't have the authority to override our votes. But of course, this is a massive movement. He is simply a figurehead, a puppet, a pawn who could wind up going to jail if he goes through with this. Meanwhile, you've got Lawrence Lessig from Harvard, a very liberal professor, who is offering free legal support for the people that he's trying to trick into doing this for him, the people that are going to wind up going to jail if they get this failed lawyer to represent them. He's going to offer legal support for any members who seek to oppose President Donald Trump. In other words, he is provoking a criminal conspiracy. He says, we are going to set up a platform here with this Electors Trust where electors can strategize about how they can stop Trump. Understand, they're not trying to stop Trump. They're trying to stop our electoral process, okay? You have to take this personally. You have to understand, this isn't about one man. This is about a cabal of people getting involved in intrigue so that they can overthrow an election that you voted in, that you did not vote for any of these people. And then we've got a Democrat congressman saying the electors should consider foreign influence. They should get phony briefings from the CIA telling them about casting these votes. And then they've got the Hamilton Electors website. Take a look at this. Together, we can stop Trump. They call themselves Hamilton Electors. We call them Faithless Electors. Maybe we should call them Faithless Federalists, okay? Because that's really what they are. Maybe coup creeps. That'd be another. But let's take a look at 4 issues here. If we go back and look at the Federalist Papers, if they want to appeal to Alexander Hamilton, let's go back and look at Alexander Hamilton. Number 1, these electors were to be chosen by the people in each state. This is what he had to say. If we look at the various phrases here. 2 men, we're going to turn this over, chosen by the people for this special purpose, selected by their fellow citizens from the general mass, electors that are chosen in each state. These are all phrases from this document, Federalist number 1. The people of each state shall choose a number of persons as electors. And so I have to ask Chris, I'm in Texas. I didn't see your name on the ballot. I didn't see any of the electors' names on the ballot. I don't know who you are. You are an unelected elector. I did not choose you. None of the voters chose you. You were not even a choice that we had there. Okay, but you think that you know better. There were 800,000 more Texans that voted for Donald Trump than for Hillary, but you're going to override that. You know what this is? You're trying to create an election without representation. We didn't see you on the ballot because you know what? If we had seen you on the ballot, we might have looked at your qualifications. Number two, we notice if we look at these documents that these people were not chosen by the people in each state randomly, but according to qualifications. He wanted men most capable of analyzing the qualities adapted to their station. In other words, he wanted people who are going to be able to analyze these presidential candidates. Okay? And yet, we don't know who you are. We know your name now because it's been out there in public, and we do know some things about you. Perhaps if you had been running on the ballot, we might have looked at your background. We might have realized, as it's been reported, that you use your 9/11 charity as an address to sign up for Ashley Madison. Got News did an investigation, and they found that Chris Supran signed up for his Ashley Madison account while he was married with 3 kids under 10. And he paid $249 for a guaranteed affair the same month that he filed for bankruptcy. Because, see, bankruptcy records are public, and now the Ashley Madison records are public, and you can see that documentation there. So, Chris, we might not have signed up for you to be our representative if we'd known that about you. Number 3, the purpose of the Electoral College, said Alexander Hamilton, you Hamilton electors, was to, quote, avoid tumult and disorder, to create an obstacle to cabal, intrigue, and corruption. He said this: we would afford as little opportunity as possible to tumult and disorder. Nothing was to be more desired than that every practicable obstacle should be opposed to cabal, intrigue, and corruption. But the whole purpose of the Hamilton electors is to create tumult in our elections, disorder in our elections, and intrigue. That's what they're doing. And also to avoid these kind of cabals and intrigue, these people were to be independent of political bodies. That was his key thing. He did not want, and it is prohibited in the Constitution, that any elected officials or people who have government offices should not be a part of the Electoral College. It says, no senator, representative, or other person holding a place of trust or profit on the U.S. can be of the numbers of the electors. Thus, without corrupting the body of the people, the immediate agents in the election will at least enter upon the task free from any sinister bias. What do you think is the bias when all of these electors are selected by the political parties? He said, the end will be answered by committing the right of making it not to any pre-established body, but to men chosen by the people for this special purpose. So you see, what we have is political parties, which the founders would have called cabals, running the Electoral College. We've got Nancy Pelosi's daughter heading part of this revolt. So now I want to talk to you in the time we've got left of why these Hamilton electors may go to jail. This is some legal advice from Law News. And he points out that Texas law allows electors to declare an intended faithless elector ineligible and replace him at the elector meeting in Texas. This will help the voters, and it will also help these faithless electors to keep them from being accused of serious crimes like election fraud or perjury. You see, Chris Supran, you are a useful idiot who is about to get charged with some very serious crimes if you go through with this. And he points out that both history and the law prove the media story is fake news. In 1952, a Supreme Court decision, the Ray decision, made it clear that the state can give state parties control over their electors, and many state parties require electors, as they do here in Texas, to sign affidavits to vote for the nominee. There's your perjury right there. Making any other vote an act of potential election fraud and alleged perjury under the state's criminal law. As for Texas, the law authorizes state parties to impose affidavit obligations, and this is for both parties. The elector must be nominated at a political party's elector candidate in accordance with party rules. So this is somebody who went to the Republicans, said, I will vote for the person that is selected by the people, and now he is saying, I know I signed that paper and I lied to you. I'm going to do whatever I wish, and I'm going to encourage other people to do the same thing. It is an outright revolt. Now, Reason Magazine put it this way. They say, all the people complaining about the fact that we've got a popular vote and we need to do this differently. He said, think about the World Series. It's not who got the most number of runs, it's who won each individual game. We had 51 different elections, and that's the way we break it down state by state. There's a good reason for that. And what we need to do is we need to keep the Electoral College to preserve the states, but we need to get rid of the political intrigue, the actual individuals. Just report the vote totals.
In case you haven't heard, InfoWars has become the most influential media outlet in America. We're making freedom go viral. And now we are proud to announce a new weapon in the epic battle against the globalists. InfoWars Prime, where you can watch live high-definition feeds of the Alex Jones Show, plus exclusive insider videos from the InfoWars crew and behind-the-scenes action. Go to Infowars.com/app and download today. InfoWars Prime is available right now for your iPhone or Android. You will have access to exclusive videos that you can't see anywhere else. And that means live coverage of events and breaking news on location as it happens. You can also take advantage of amazing deals from the InfoWars store that are only available for InfoWars Prime subscribers. That's InfoWars Prime at Infowars.com/app. And if you can hear my voice, you are the resistance.